Let's go! Come on, come on! Hey! Whoa, oh, whoa, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh, yeah, yeah. It's time to make a difference. It's time to turn that page. We got to do the right things if we want brighter days. Cause things ain't getting easy and the road ahead is tough. It's up to you and I to make the madness stop. Every day the things getting harder, and every day the things getting rough, and every day they hike the food prices and they implementing more tax. For the sake of our twin nation and the youths of the next generation, let's stand united, show we're not divided. Let's show them now and send them a message now.
Show them that we're the voice of hope.
Send them a message now.
Show them that our country ain't no joke.
Send them a message now.
Show them that we're the ones who care.
Send them a message now.
Oh, 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 yeah, yeah. From a distance, look at the picture. Tell me what you see. An abstract of destruction to destroy you and me. We got to do the right thing. We got to make that move. Cause if we don't act fast on this, we're the ones who lose.
Every day the things getting harder, and every day the things getting rough, and every day they hike the food prices and they implementing more tax. For the sake of our twin nation and the youths of the next generation, let's stand united, show we're not divided. Let's show them now and send them a message now.
Show them that we are the voice of hope.
Send them a message now.
Show them that our country ain't no joke.
Send them a message now.
Show them that we are the ones who care.
Send them a message now.
Oh, 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 yeah, yeah.
We stand united in the belief that if you empower a community, the community empowers the country.
We are the party that gave every child a secondary school education since 2001.
By building more schools in 11 years than others did in 40. We believe that no child,
Rich or poor, should be left behind.
which is why we give every Form 1 student a laptop to expand their minds and their dreams.
We are the party that put police cars back on the streets.
And gave the police a $1,000 bonus because we believe that we should support the persons who are protecting you.
We are the party that reduced the murder rate to its lowest in 14 years. We expanded GATE, stopped the property tax, and increased maternity leave.
We are the party that invested in you and in your community by investing in schools, community centers, lighted parks, 24-hour health centers, and the most extensive road repair program in decades.
We believe that education is always a solution and that no one should have to pick between sending their child to school or buying food.
We are the party that works for you. We are the first responders in every situation, working to deliver a better standard of living for you and your family.
And most importantly, we have confidence in you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. This is not a campaign, it's a movement based on building communities and strengthening families.
Come out and join us, and together we will get the nation working and moving again. Our children will once again have access to GATE and technology.
We will improve healthcare.
By cutting the time it takes to see a doctor in an emergency, we will establish a senior citizen unit in every major hospital and staff the hospital with the doctors and nurses you need. to create a first-class healthcare system. We will focus on creating high-paying jobs, fixing our laws to remove red tape, and ensuring that you and your family are safer. We will reduce corporate taxes to jumpstart the economy, create a special investment zone along the East-West corridor, and work with entrepreneurs to build a digital economy. This is an investment in your community to move the nation forward and get TNT working again.
Whether you are from 4th Street in Barataria to Railway Road in Dow Village, from Green Street in Tunapuna to Clark Road in Debe, from La Hokita to Maruga, from Miaro to Scarborough, we are one people with the same dreams of a better tomorrow. And when we stand together, we win together. We are UNC and proud.
We pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race finds an equal place, and God bless our nation. Here every creed and race finds an equal place, and God bless our nation. Thank you. Please remain standing as I invite Alderman Susan Holder to lead us in a word of prayer.
Kind and loving Father in the heaven, indeed it is a privilege, O God, for us to gather here as a people, O God, in this place this evening, God. I invite your Holy Spirit, God. Father, I ask, O God, today for your divine intervention. I ask, O God, today that you will take control of this evening proceedings. I ask, O God, this evening that you will take charge of all that is to be said and done here this evening, God. I pray, God, this evening for those who are on their way, God. I pray, God, that you would hasten their footstep, God. I pray, God, that the people who are sitting here this evening, as you come forth, oh God, you would let your issues and ideas be known to the present government, Lord. Father, you know that we are living in a region that is deprived of so many things, God. We are people forgotten by this government. I pray, God, this evening that whatever is to be said and done will reach the hearts and ears of those who are in charge at this time, so that something good could take place in our region. Father, I ask this evening that you intervene and take charge. In no other name I pray, but in Jesus' almighty name I say amen.
Okay, please be seated. So we are live from the Sangre Grande Civic Center. All right, so right away, we are going to get into the proceedings for tonight. As I introduce to you the Master of Ceremonies, Chairman of tonight's proceeding, Mr. Councillor Daryl Mohan. Bring him on with a round of applause, please. Thank you.
So good night, everyone, and welcome to our budget consultation for the District of Toco, Sangre Grande. And I must say you all look wonderful here tonight. I know it's a bit hot, but please bear with us. We are limited in terms of ventilation. We have the fans there working. But nevertheless, we appreciate you taking your time to come out here tonight. We appreciate the efforts that you are making to come and voice your concerns. And this is the forum whereby you can raise your concerns and have your issues addressed. So tonight, as we proceed, I will now introduce to you our chairman, the chairman of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation, Mr. Kenwin Phillip, who, by the way, is celebrating his birthday today. So before he comes on, I would ask that we will all stand and wish him a happy birthday. He may not be all that good looking, but he's a hard worker. All right? So, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kenwin. Happy birthday to you. Hip hip. Hip hip. Hip hip. You will have your seat. And you wouldn't get one like this until next year. So now as I hand over the mic and the podium to our chairman, who will bring a few words as we proceed with tonight's proceeding.
So good night. Thanks very much to the chairman of this evening's proceeding. Members of the head table, our person supporters from Sangre Grande, members of council, aldermen, youth supporters of our great party, good night. And welcome to Toco, Sangre Grande. Before I go in, I want to commend our political leader for hosting these budget consultation where you, members of the public, will have your time to view and to let your voice be heard, so that what you say here tonight could be used in the response to the budget whensoever the date is called. For those of you who don't know me, and I am sure that most of you here know me, my name is Kenwin Phillip, and I am the chairman of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation. Tomorrow, the 14th of August, will make it 1 year since we would have taken control of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation. You know, and I know a lot of you will say that we still have bad roads, we still have box train, we're going through some of the same challenges that we would have experienced before. But I would like you to know that as any other agency, we depend on funding from central government. And while you might say a councillor, you didn't get a box train, you didn't get 10 days, it's not because the councillor didn't want to give you, it's because we are strapped for funding in the corporation and we are trying our best with the limited resources that we have. So I really, really hope you know that you understand. I am here just like you to voice some of my concerns I have. I'm sure that you are here waiting to hear from our main presenters tonight. And this is not about sitting down here and listening to what the presenters have to say, but it's more about hearing what you have to say and some of the concerns and challenges you face in the region. Sangre Grande is the most largest region by landscape. We are the most depressed and underprivileged communities, and we have a lot of squatting communities that makes up the Toco Sangre Grande area. Toco Sangre Grande is one of the seats that we have to win to ensure that we form government, and we can only do that with your support, with you being the main pillar in your household to ensure that the persons in your household come out and vote in support of the United National Congress. We as councillors, we cannot do it without you, and we will continue to lobby and work beside you to ensure that you all receive the goods and services that the corporation have to offer. But when we form government under the leadership of Ms. Prasad Bisasa, I am sure that the UNC will deliver once more to Toco Sangre Grande, because the UNC would have done it between 2010 to 2015 under Kamala Prasad Bisasa. So tonight, I don't want you to be shy. We want to hear some of the challenges, some of the concerns you all have. and we will have note takers here taking down every single information that you all present here tonight to ensure that it reach the leader where she will raise these questions in Parliament. So I don't want you to be a shy audience. I want you to really come out and state some of the challenges you all face in the region of Sangre Grande. So thanks very much, and I look forward to hear from you tonight.
Thank you, Chairman, Councillor Kenwin Phillip. And tonight, as we proceed with tonight's program, I want to take this time to acknowledge our online viewers, those who are watching us right now, taking in this forum tonight via the web. To you, we say welcome. As we move forward, I would like for you all to ask yourself the question, are you satisfied? Are you satisfied with the way things are being run in this country right now? Are you satisfied with the quality of healthcare that you're receiving? Are you satisfied with the roads in your area? And hence the reason why we're here tonight. And so as we proceed with tonight's proceedings, as our chairman had just highlighted to you, this is the forum where your concerns will be raised. And this is the forum where it will not only be raised, but it will be noted. This is the forum where your concerns will be forwarded to the political leader who will make representation on your behalf in Parliament. And that is why I am happy to see that you all took the time to come out here tonight. And then moving forward as we proceed with other meetings of this type, I hope you would encourage your neighbors, your friends, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins. Encourage your community to come out and voice their concerns and support this cause. Tonight, as we move forward with the program, I want to introduce to you tonight our first speaker. Our first speaker is from the region of Sangre Grande. She has a certificate in early childhood care and education, a bachelor's degree in physical education at Manuel Fajardo in Havana, Cuba, international. She's also an international certified esthetician. She's also the CEO of Little Marvel Body Studio and also a fluent converser in Spanish and French. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Ms. Nefertari Kernahan, who is going to speak to us on some issues.
Pleasant good night, everyone, online viewers. First, I'd like to acknowledge the chairman of the Sangre Grande Corporation, Kenwin Phillip, the councillor, vice chairman, Nasser Hussein, Alderman Susan Holder, Councillor Neil De Silva, who else again? Angad, Alderman Angad, and Councillor Darrell Mohan. It's a pleasure to be here to speak to you tonight. Basically, I was asked to speak about the challenges I face as a small business owner in a rural community. My first challenge is access roads. The roads to Komoto, to come into Komoto, Manzanilla, the roads are deplorable. What do I say? It is not paved properly, the potholes are really huge, and that is a deterrent for my clients to come to my establishment. And it's really hinder my business really to progress. The high cost of products, it's very difficult when you face Pennywise and the retail business places that the products are raising every month. You go to these places by $2, $3. They're not even raising by 50 cents or 75 cents. They are raising it by dollars, you know? Not be able to get US at the banks. Imagine being able to travel. I went to FCB, First Citizens Bank, and they said I will only allowed to get 240 US. What products can you buy with 240 US when you're traveling? It is ridiculous. The situation is ridiculous right now. Yeah, the 1% getting all US in the banks. The crime situation, as we all face, is very sad. My fellow small business owners in Komoto, they have to lock up early because Recent times, there's spate of robberies. All the local shops are being robbed by the youth because the youths are unemployed. There's nothing to do under this government. There's no productivity, and there's no exchange of goods and services, so the youths are idle. So they are watching our small business owners to rob us, to extort us, and we are not talking about the situation that small business owners and big business owners are also facing extortion. It's a very sad situation. We have to pay these fellas, but they will come subtle. Give me something to drink now, give me this now, you're having money. It's a very sad situation trying to run a business in Trinidad and Tobago right now under the People's National Movement. Robberies at an all-time high in Komoto Manzanilla right now. We have to understand, and we can't be selfish now. We have to understand the connection between good governance and an effective and efficient government and as a small business owners. I have a lot of clients that are also small business owners, and the first thing they say, I don't have time to vote, nobody don't give me nothing, but they don't understand the importance of a good government and the role they play to help your small business. Because before, pre-COVID, before in 2010, I heard people said for their own mouths, there was the time where they make the most money, they were happy. Once the masses are happy and money is flowing in the economy, your business will bloom, anybody's business will bloom. And we have to understand that people's spending power is limited right now because there are no job opportunities and nothing going on in the economy right now. So we have to acknowledge that, we have to understand that, don't be selfish, speak to your friends, speak to your family. Just, I know I'm vote, they don't give me nothing, because your life wasn't directly impacted by a job in the corporation, or you wanted a CPEP contract, or you dismissed the party and don't know. You have to work with your party and understand there are much more benefits of getting a contract or not getting your way with a government. You totally just try to not to improve the situation by voting for the right government. We need good governance in this country. We need to think. We need not to be selfish. We need to work with our councillors. Sangre Grande Corporation have most reliable, humble, and accessible councillors. He's not here today. He's not here today. I have a friend who will call his phone, Calvin Cicheran, Councillor Calvin Cicheran, and each time he called Calvin Cicheran phone, Calvin answered his phone and explained to him and knew who he was and explained to the matter and give him an update on the matter. Keon Sarup Singh, always in my community, always helping, giving wheelchair out. We have, and you could imagine, if we really get into government, or when we get into government 2025, and we have these hard-working councillors, and we are in charge of the central government, you can imagine the wonders these councillors and these MPs will work. You all saw it in 2010. Don't tell me you did not see the country progressing and things was nice. Everybody was happy from 2010 to 2015. We saw it. We saw it. So as a business owner, that is just basically what I have to say. Is basically the crime situation, the access roads, the high cost of products, not getting US in the banks. Is really disheartening as a small business owner to operate right now in this country. You really want to pack up and leave. But I have to stay here and fight, because we have to fight for the next generation. I have to fight for my nieces and my nephews. I have to fight for them, and we have to get the United National Congress back in government. We have to get Kamala Prasad back in government, because she's a caring, loving Prime Minister. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Cunahan, for a wonderful presentation. You know, the Calypsonian had said in his lyrics that Trinidad is my land, and of it I am proud and glad. And I too, I am not willing to leave here. This is my homeland. This is where I was born. And I'm sure there are many of you who share the same sentiments. We want to live here. We want to strive here. We want to progress here. We want to prosper here. And we deserve good governance that would enable us to reach that goal. We deserve good governance that would take care of our children. We deserve good governance that would provide proper health care. We deserve good governance that would ensure that our basic infrastructure is well maintained, and if not improved, where improvement is needed. And note I say where improvement is needed. Presently, we are seeing things taking place in Trinidad, developmental works taking place in Trinidad in areas where it is not needed at this time. We are seeing huge sums of money being spent, and whilst the poor citizens are being made to suffer more and more as the days go by. Recently, I saw a video online where a car went down into a pothole, and the only way they could get that car out was to get a crane to take out the car. Also, there's an issue right now on the Solomon Hochoy Highway, just as you pass under the flyover by Grand Bazaar, where there's a sinkhole. And we are asking ourselves, what is the government doing about issues like these? And you're seeing vehicles hitting the sinkhole and damaging parts. And so, as we continue tonight, I ask you, the people of this region, are you satisfied with the WASA service that you are receiving at this time? I can't hear you. Are you satisfied with the rate increases from Tiantec? Are you satisfied with the property tax that is coming? Are you satisfied with this PNM government? And that is why we need to stand fast together. That is why we need to support each other. That is why we need to support this UNC party under the leadership of Kamla Prasad Bisesa, who would take us into government come 2025. And so, I move on to our other speaker tonight. It is my pleasure tonight to introduce to you a son of the soil, a man from Grande, as we would say in the local dialect, one of we own. Tobagonians say, "Are we boy?" We in Grande could say too, "Are we boy?" Mr. Madison would have received his primary and secondary school education during his formative years in Toco, Sangre Grande, and is very well familiar with the issues that plagues this region and by extension this constituency. The gentleman I'm about to introduce to you is an established human resource management, employment, law, and industrial relations consultant. He's also a well-known advocate at the Industrial Court of Trinidad and Tobago and provides consultancy services in his field for several local and multinational organizations, including the trade unions. Tonight, Mr. Madison will be speaking on the nexus between poor governance structures in rural communities, such as the communities that exist in Toco Sangre Grande, the human capital development and productivity, and ways to reverse emanating challenges with unemployment in our national budget. Ladies and gentlemen, constituents, residents of Toco Sangre Grande, it is my pleasure to introduce to you tonight Mr. Matheson.
Members of the head table, aldermen, councillors, fellow members of the UNC, good afternoon, good evening, I should say. And it is truly a pleasure to be here with you this evening to discuss not only the challenges that you would be experiences or that you would have been experiences from time as long as you probably know yourselves, but what we can do to echo to the government after the budget is ready, to send the message that you, the people of Toco Sangre Grande, that you, the people I say this because I grew up in Sangre Grande until I was about 18, and I would have received my primary school education in Sangre Grande and Toco to some extent. I went to Toco Composite for 3 years. I went to Sangre Grande government across, right, not too far from here. And I went to Northeastern College after. And what I saw and what I experienced in those days actually is worse than it is visiting Sangre Grande after that. Yeah. So tonight, I really wanted to not just to digress, but to explain a couple of things and some of the reasons why we have bad governance and what bad governance do in a country like Trinidad and Tobago, and also what we can do as members of the UNC to send a message to the government that we need help. The government of Trinidad and Tobago seems to be consumed with eating its own flesh to stay alive. And when I say that, I mean that in real developing nations where we have thinking politicians, they would not borrow to spend, they would borrow to invest. They would not tax their citizens at the level at which they're taxing them. And you might think, some of you may think, well, you're not working and you're not paying tax, and you don't really pay tax and that kind of thing. But listen, all of us pay taxes. Right? We have direct taxation and we have indirect taxation. When we go to the grocery, when we go to Pennywise, when we go anywhere, we pay taxes, 15%, 12%, whatever. But we pay taxes. All of us pay taxes. And some of us may be trying to get to Port of Spain or to get to somewhere right in Sangre Grande, and you might park bad or you might get stopped. And you now have to pay a huge price on a ticket. Not to mention, you would also be faced with the after effects of the ticket, which is the demerit points. And all of that accumulates into the hardship that you experience. Let me just say this. I remembered for COVID, we had citizens in Trinidad and Tobago for 2 years who was out of a job, was by and large stifled. They couldn't go anywhere. You didn't have food, and you could not have accessed whatever grant that was available to you for all kinds of reasons, for which I will talk about too. Right? You had children sitting under the stairs of neighbor just to get internet. And if you was working, you still couldn't pay it. And if you don't pay it, you would get cut. So the thing is, all of these issues, if we multiply them and take them and put them in Sangre Grande and Toco, I think you all would have experienced it worse than most of the other communities in Trinidad and Tobago. And that, to me, you should understand what are the challenges in your communities. I've heard the speaker before me talk about crime, spoke about what young people are doing to business people in her community. And that is real. The problem is what we can do. What can we do? What can we do as citizens or members of the community in a place like Sangre Grande, which is by and large a rural community, and to some extent agriculture. When I was growing up in Sangre Grande in the early 80s, I remembered from horse race to just before the police station there were grapefruit fields. I don't know how many of you remember that. Grapefruit field on both sides of the road. And you will see crates of grapefruit in the morning, hundreds, thousands maybe, right? It means that this community was producing something. That was going to CJ, well, the juice you're drinking, that is now being imported. We were getting reserves, foreign reserves from that. We were getting US dollars from that. That is not happening again. there's a saying that if you spit on the ground in Sangre Grande, it will grow. Sangre Grande have fertile land. Why, instead of borrowing to build buildings, borrowing to pay recurrent expenditure, why aren't we not borrowing to set up major industries like farming? And I'm not talking about the farming that you are accustomed to. I'm talking about the farming that they do all over the world, mechanized farming. Farming, you spend probably at the government spend about $2 billion, and in about 5 years they make $20 billion from it. I was looking at a documentary a couple months ago on farming in mushrooms in the US, where they are creating, they have a shortage of labor. They use migrant laborers. They have a shortage of labor in the US too, and they are seeking Congress help to allow for Congress to let them bring migrant labor. But farming, mechanized farming, is one of the ways that a community like this could be assisted. Let me give you some statistics. If you live in Matlat, and my family have, I think it's 100 and something, I don't care, 100 and something acres of land in up Toco. It's abandoned. Matlat. You can't go there. You have no transportation to go there. If you live in Matlat, what's our minimum wage in Trinidad and Tobago? Our minimum wage is $21.50, I think, or $21. If you work whole month on minimum wage, you'll be earning something like almost $4,000 a month. If you have to travel from Matlat to go to Port of Spain to get a job, you can't get a job. It can't be a job you're looking for paying your minimum wage. Because that's transportation. Any developing nation worth its salt, transportation is one of the most important elements, one of the key pillar to development in your community, transportation. And so I remembered in the days in the 80s, early 80s, you used to have a bus going Toco and Matlat, and they have that still? I don't think they have any buses going up there again. But if you think, for those who live Sangre Grande, if you think that things are really bad, talk to somebody who lives in Matlat. They might have to pay about $100 to get to Port of Spain to look for a job. And you ain't sure. And then you have to pay that to come back. And things depress all about because of bad governance. And one of the things all nations, and I'll take Singapore as an example. Singapore got its independence about 3 years after we got ours. They got their independence in August 1965. And they were just like us. They had the same kind of problems like Trinidad and Tobago, same thing. And today, they are ranked second only to Luxembourg, second in the world in GDP to persons in the country. The amount of money they make from just thinking is amazing. They have no natural resources. They have the second largest oil refinery in the world. They don't have oil. Right? The thing is, what they are able to do is they are able to first legislate their development and do what they say they need to do for the people. So they have a plan. We seem not to have a plan. There are countries in the world today with companies within it, with more employees in it than we have citizens in Trinidad and Tobago. I could call a few. I work for one of them, as a matter of fact. I'm the consultant for Huawei. They have 1.8 million employees. And every single employee is known to Huawei's management on the touch of a button. On the touch of a button. Let me just say this. So I was a member of the PNM for quite some years. And I remembered I was in 2013, I was in St. Augustine, part of a group that invited the now Prime Minister to a meeting to meet the business community in St. Augustine. And after that meeting, I asked the Prime Minister, the now Prime Minister, I said, Dr. Rowley, if or when we win the elections, what I would like to see happen is that maybe we have a national identification system. And when I say a national identification system, I meant a system where everyone in the country is just required one card, and every single thing, the economy is digitized so that every single person will be known by the government, and there will be certain kind of controls, meaning that the police wouldn't have all the access, the government wouldn't have all the access, you wouldn't have all the access. It will be run on something like a blockchain system. So the integrity of your information is protected, and you are well known, every single citizen that are about to fall through the cracks, that is not working, that is not paying taxes, they are known to the system, and they could receive the kind of help that they would receive. Now listen, these companies that I tell you about, they have these systems and they know every single thing about their 1.8 and 2 million workers, right? And they have systems called HRIS systems, Human Resource Management Information Systems. And those systems, just like the system that I'm telling you about, those systems could be purchased in a box. So I'm saying, if we had a system like that, and I'm not advocating that we have any system to intrude on citizens in any way, but if we had a system like that, crime would have been a thing of the past since 2015. The end of 2015 would have been a thing of the past, because with a system like that, you could commit crime once. We seem to be bent on, and as I said, we seem to be bent on eating our own flesh to survive, because when you think about how does the government intend to raise taxes, to manage the corporations, to do all the things that is required to be done. You heard how much money they made on the road, that tax collection they do on the road every day? In excess of close to $100 million. That's taxing you. A bus route ticket, a ticket on the bus route, which was $200. A ticket that was on the bus route that was $200 when the PNM got in office, that ticket is now $2,000. Yeah? That ticket is now $2,000. Now I'm told that, I know it's sad, but I'm told that I have to wind up. But listen, at the end of the day, what we need, the message we need to send to our politicians and to our political leaders is that we need to tell the PNM that this area have the kind of resources, the kind of human resources that are required for the development of the people in this area. And we need things like mechanized farming, we need transportation. Transportation is the most important thing. If you don't have public transportation, cheap or reasonable price public transportation, you're not going anywhere. If you don't have proper broadband internet to research and do all the things that you need to do from internet, you're not going anywhere. These are the things that in my opinion, we need as members of this community to bring us out of the position we are in. We don't necessarily have to go to Port of Spain for jobs. All the jobs can be had from those kind of systems, and all the downstream industries can follow from that. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to wrap up in saying that it is a pleasure. I would be happy to take your question. I had much more to say this evening. I'll be happy to take your questions as I sit at the head table. And once again, good night and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steve Madison, for that wonderful presentation. Tonight, as we proceed, I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge the presence of our General Secretary of the National Executive and his beautiful wife, Mr. Peter Kanhai, who is with us here tonight. I also want to acknowledge MP Khadija Amin, Regional Coordinator for Northeast, and also Member of Parliament, St. Augustine. Also with us here tonight, we also have Mr. Kurt Megu, who is also the PRO of the party, and he's standing right there. And not forgetting, of course, Mr. Kevan Gibbs, who is always doing the work, putting in the time, making the effort on behalf of the political leader in ensuring that the media gets out there. We want to acknowledge him here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, I've listened to everything that was said. And again, we have to ask ourselves the question, are you satisfied with the public transport in this region of Toco, Sangre Grande? I'm not hearing you. Are you satisfied? Let me break it down. Are you satisfied with PTSD service? Are you satisfied with the road conditions? Are you satisfied with the cost of living? So what are you all going to do about it? What are you all going to do about it? What can we do about it? Vote them out. Vote them out. Vote them out. That's the only way we can get this done. The power lies within your finger, you know. And it's about time you probably start to exercise this finger. You see that finger when you're home in your spare time? Start to do some exercises with the finger. Practice. Because come general elections 2020-25, we are going to vote them out. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to that segment of our program tonight where we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you, the constituents, the residents, burgesses of Toco Sangre Grande. And so as we prepare to hear from you, we are going to conduct it in an orderly fashion. Come on, whereby we would invite you to the podium to voice your concerns. Oh, we have, okay, by the podium. Where you would voice your concerns. You are allotted a time slot of 3 minutes per person. Whilst I know that everyone would have a burning issue to address, we are pressed for time. So I now declare the floor is open. So if you could raise your hands. Come into the podium. So you can indicate by a show of hands that you have an issue to address, and I would invite you to the podium. Come this way. When you are coming to highlight your concerns, we would ask that you would state your name. So yeah, so those who are in waiting can come on this side. You can come to the front here. So whilst you are raising your concern, you would state your name, your address, and you will raise your issues.
Good night to the head table, all councillors, ministers, aldermen. Good night to everybody. One of my issues I would like to view tonight is I heard everybody speak about crime and roads and everything. My issue tonight, I am Betsy Jaikaran and I reside at Picton Road, Sangre Grande. My counselor is Mr. Nasser Hussein. Good night, Mr. Nasser. One of my issues is that everybody talks about crime and everything. I want to talk about the future of this country, which is our children. One of my main issues is education. A poor person like me, up to today, there is 3 weeks again for school to be reopened, right? Their parents plague with every year. We need to buy new textbooks. There are some parents cannot afford to buy new textbooks. Why do we have to buy new textbooks? Every year it is a new edition, a revised edition, a fifth, a second, yet it is the same curriculum that is being taught. It is the same topics in the textbook. They go and they cover over the textbook covers, and you cannot even resell these books to say, well, you could get money to buy textbooks for your children. I cannot even hand down the textbook that I have to other children to say that they could go to school with a textbook. There are parents who cannot afford, like me. I cannot dig deep in my pocket. I am an unemployed person, right? We have one income. And to take out money, some people cannot afford to even put food on the table, 3 meals per day. And yet we have to dig deep to buy textbooks costing $200-300. We don't have. We do not have. I would like this issue to be addressed in Parliament. Why cannot we secure the future of this country, which is our children? Our first Prime Minister said he would like to see what it have in our book bags. Some people, children, book bags are empty. We have no money to buy textbook. Thank you, everyone.
And that's a very critical issue that plagues this region. I will invite Mr. GT to the podium. Come by the mic.
Good evening, everyone. All protocol observed. My name is Christian Sandiford, better known as GT, wherever you go in my area to find it. I'm from Vega de Orupuch, from the squatting area. We're having a whole lot of issues up there, but two main issues that I'm asking help on, and mostly coming from the regional cooperation. I have a councillor now that is working with us. Prior to the past two, hadn't. And I'm asking the chairman that if he could be able to work with the councillor so that we could be able to get this issue addressed as early as possible. Now, we're not having light, we're not having water in the area. The last time we used to have that was 2014, and the State Land Commission put a block on it. So some people have lights, and a whole set of people doesn't have. Now we're there over 20 years. There are people who there. I'm up there now since almost 13 years. Now I'm asking if those issues could address, because we have children who are going to high school, but we don't have light so they could study. Sometimes they come home late. When the dry season is on, we hardly get water. We gotta buy water. Now the rainy season is on. Yeah, the rainy season is on, and we get a little water, but the important part is that if we can get water and lights allocated to us into that area right now, because if you go up there, you will see the situation that we have.
So as As councillor for that area, I can tell you, and I'm sure that Mr. GT can validate, Mr. GT, that since I took up the position in that area, it is the first time that they have been seeing the regional corporation trucks coming in there to distribute water for them, whilst they have a sitting MP less than a mile away, not making no attempts to meet the needs of the residents in that area. I now invite our another speaker.
Top of the afternoon to all the wonderful people of Sangre Grande. Pleasant good afternoon. Honorable political leader, Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bissassa of SC, the next Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. I would like to say pleasant good night to our Northeast Region Coordinator, Member of Parliament, my wonderful sister, Mrs. Kadisha Amin, to the Chairman of Sangre Grande Regional Corporation, my good friend, Mr. Kelvin Phillip, wonderful guests, speakers, ladies and gentlemen, pleasant good night. Ladies and gentlemen, the PNM has now usurped their stance of saying that they have a grade A for 9 years of failure. 9 years of failure. 9 years of failure. They say they have a grade A for that. Small Pen Young only rise to politics and politics in the PNM have gained more while we fail and gain less. Ladies and gentlemen, it will take the PNM a trillion millenniums to even walk in 1 foot or one side of Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bissassa's slipper. And that's a fact. They're not FAX like Keith Christopher Rowley is FACTS. Facts. Under Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bissassa's arrangement when she was Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, she took us out from a negative into a positive. She waged war on poverty. And a matter of fact, she gave Trinidad and Tobago the love and respect and proper representation that it needed for far so long. The PNM, they came in like a thief in the night. Keith, Columbus, Rowley. You hear? So you see that A grade, Small Pen Young, you could take that A grade, flip it sideways. Okay. Because let me tell you something, our people need to be free from the PNM. Free from the mental slavery. Free from all that is wrong since 1956 up to this day. The PNM has given us 9 years of poverty, crime, bad education, bad roads, you name it. You name it, the PNM has done it. You name it. And then you have Small Pen Young coming and talking about A grade. Small Pen Young, you must be high on high grade. But let me tell you something. I from Arima. Sangre Grande is our sister or our brother. We live together. We live together like one family. We live together in harmony. We live together because all are we is we. In our state, in Arima, we have a cent and a penny for a member of parliament. A woman who just like to pass and take selfie with a busload full of police. And on this neck of the woods, it have a man, all right. But anyway, are you ready, Sangre Grande? Are you ready to tell the PM, go straight back to hell? Are you ready? Don't wait for the bell to call. I am telling you tonight, don't wait for the bell to call. I want all you to go out. Follow the footsteps of our good friends here, our councillors, aldermen, and our members of parliament. Don't wait for the bell to call. Go out to all the nooks and crannies and all through the nannies and grannies and make them remember the good melody of the United National Congress and Mrs. Kamala Persad Bissessa, the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And then you could say, you could take that to the bank, Rowley, and you could take that A grade and smoke high grade. Thank you.
Thank you. I would now invite the other. And of course, just to be reminded, our speaking time is 3 minutes.
A special good night, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first say, all protocol observes. My name is Darren Timothy, and I hail from Forster Road, Sangre Grande, just a stone throw away. I want to wish our distinguished chairman a very happy birthday, first and foremost. Now, I am the father of 4 pretty little girls, and every night, I get up 5 and 6 times to walk around the house to make sure my daughters are okay. And in the last budget, the Ministry of National Security was allocated $6.2 billion. The TTPS was given $2.39 billion as their allocation. What are the tangible evidence we have to show for $2.39 billion? As it stands, our murder rate is 350 plus murders, and we're only in the 8th month. As my chairman now said, another PNM story. And I know our Minister of Finance will come with his fancy jargon and semantics to tell us all the niceties in this budget. But hear what? I want to know how that $6 billion was spent. What are the tangible evidence we have for that $6 billion? Because the nation running scared. I want him to explain to us, what are we going to do with the next set of allocation? The allocation you're giving us, was it spent? How much went back into the coffers? Tell us. Don't come with your fancy jargon and niceties and give us an election budget. We don't want election budget. Because come election 2025, we yellow, and yellow is the code. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
So you see, people, do you think that this government deserve a passing grade? They deserve an A at failure. And that is what, I believe that is what Minister Young was trying to say. That they succeeded at failing with a distinction. They didn't just get an A, no, they got A plus at failing. And tonight, you know, it's unfortunate because I sweating. I sweating community center, three units, none are working. What happened to community development? No phone lines. Washrooms not working properly. No internet. Whilst I'm thankful for the opportunity that we would have gotten to use the facilities, but we have to highlight these things. So as we proceed and move on forward with the program, I would now invite our another participant.
Good night, everyone. My name is Carl Bertram. I'm from Sangre Grande. What I want to see in this budget is what is the PNM putting in place for the youths of Toco Sangre Grande. Right now, Toco Sangre Grande is the, how to put it, it's jobless. We have no jobs in Toco Sangre Grande, and I want to see the PNM put things in place for us to have a job, for us to have a sustainability, for us to have a education then, because we are fed up of promises, we are fed up of they say and they say. We are fed up and we are saying to you, come clean, come right, and put things in place for the youths of Toco Sangre Grande. I thank you.
Thank you, residents of Toco Sangre Grande. The floor is open. We now open to the next.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Enrique, and I come from Valencia, the electoral district of Valencia West. I have two concerns I'd like to raise tonight, and hopefully be taken to the Parliament. As you all can see, I'm a young person. My first concern is sport and youth development for people like myself in the region. Budget come, budget go. Allocations are made to the respective ministries, but then nothing is done, especially for the youth in Toco Sangre Grande. We just came out of the Olympics, came out with no medals. Right? Our last gold medalist hailed from Toco Sangre Grande. Right? We have facilities that would have been open, and it's still under renovations, if you know what I'm talking about. Sporting complex there in Ojoron. And it's really sad, right? Because I would have done track and field back in secondary school. To have to leave Sangre Grande to go down to Larry Gomes or Hazley Crawford to train. Why does we can't have these facilities here in Toco Sangre Grande? As the speaker at the table mentioned, it's expensive when you have to leave from Toco to travel to go down to Port of Spain, right? There are people coming from further points than Toco. Nothing is being done, right? Our sporting community is neglected. Nothing is being done, there's no evidence. Other thing, with regards to the ECC, I said I'm in Valencia, my daughter starts preschool come September. I was lucky enough to get her into one of the ECCs in Valencia. Unfortunately, while speaking to the administrator, she said that she was forced to take in 18 extra children, right? But still had to turn away 160 plus, because there's no space to fit young children who wants to get into school. There are parents that cannot afford to pay $800 and $1,500 a month for preschool. There's an ECC school left abandoned in the community of La Plata in Valencia. Grass take it over, a fresh built facility just left there for rodents and grass to take it over. And it's being neglected, while there are now children who are possibly not going to be able to enter the education system come September. These are my concerns. Why are the young people, starting from the tender age of toddlers, being neglected in Toco Sangre Grande?
Thank you, Mr. Enrique. We now call our next person who would like to raise their concerns.
Hi, good evening. My name is Akina Lala, and I'm one of the nominees for Toco Sangre Grande constituency for MP. I'm from Valencia. I was born in Valencia, and I've been back for years now, and it's been very difficult for me to live in the current situation that we are all in. The economy is broken. Food prices are extremely high. There's a lack of youth engagement, unemployment, crime, all these issues that everyone echoed today during the open mic. We're all feeling these disadvantages and the issues that we experience today. My question is, what are the ways in which we want to actually address the unemployment and the lack of community engagement? For example, I came with one of my friends who is disabled, who has he's in a wheelchair, and we couldn't come in because there was no elevators, there was no access. There's a lack of accessibility with jobs. The food prices are high because we don't have any food security. We have to all go to Makoya to get goods, market goods, and that causes a monopoly on everything. So for Toco Sangre Grande to be known as an area that is an agriculturist area of farmers, our history as farmers, a lot of things are lacking. The jobs and the engagement for the youths. NALIS has not even expanded into our areas because they consider us rural. You know, that's a problem. The community centers are completely inactive and dilapidated. The early childhood centers, I know about 200 moms in Valencia that actually cannot get access to childcare, so how could they work? Is it really their fault if the state is not representing them and their needs? It is a good question that I ask in today, why my friend has to be lifted up. We have the resources, we have the money. It is right here in our nation. We have to fight for something. We have to fight or we're living for nothing. Unless we start to say that we deserve more, we will never get more. I am back and I am fighting. Everything is a fight down in Trinidad. It is from the state, it is from the inner circles, it's from your peers, it's from the people you're supposed to get support from. It is the people within the realms of security and support that we don't get it the most from. What is going on in Trinidad and Tobago? And the reality is the youths come to me every day. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a coach. I coach teams in Valencia, I just try to keep them active, but there isn't any resources. Small businesses can't do it anymore off of the strength and off of our own backs. How many teams you could sponsor? I know how much people, I just see people come with their pledge books and everything and asking, can you do this, can you do that? Can you sponsor our teams? The reality is there's a shortage of everything. And Toco Sangre Grande is a very important seat, and we need to actually start to speak for what we deserve and what we want. Thank you for your time. Have a blessed night. I would now, on that note, like to introduce a very good ally, friend, and I actually look up to him. That's the reality. He's from my area, KP Land in Valencia. He understands what's going on, and many of us have put aside many differences because guess what we started to realize? We are going to look on our similarities. We are humans with an intrinsic desire to survive. All we are asking for is for our basic needs to be met. So with less ado, I would like to introduce Kerwin Thomas, the president of the Trinidad and Tobago chapter of Persons with Disabilities and a community leader in Valencia.
Come on the side. Just wanted to see. Yeah, you tell me. Tell me when you're ready. All right, that's now. You all hearing me good? All right, excellent. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, to the members of the head table, the Member of Parliament for St. Augustine, MP Khadija Main, and also the Regional Coordinator for the Northeast area, to the Chairman of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation, Chairman and Councillor, Mr. Kenwin Phillips, my apologies, to the Vice Chairman, my good friend, Mr. Nasser Hussein, to the aldermen and also the councillors of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation, Ms. Susan Holder, a very, very good friend of mine and colleague, past colleague. I just want to let to Mr. Peter Kanai, the General Secretary,
of the UNC, and Mr. Kirk Meku, he's the PRO of the UNC. I'd just like to acknowledge these players that are here this evening. My name is Kerwin Thomas. As my good friend Akina mentioned, I am the president of the Trinidad and Tobago chapter of Persons with Disabilities. I represent the needs of persons with disabilities throughout Trinidad and Tobago. That makes up about 7% of the population, which is actually around 100 and something thousand persons who have various types of disabilities, which will mean persons who are on wheelchairs, persons who are blind, persons who are deaf, persons with cerebral palsy, autism, you name it. All right, we represent the needs of those persons. I am also a community leader, activist, advocate for persons in the Valencia and Toco Sangre Grande region. I was the former secretary of the Toco Sangre Grande PNM constituency executive, former secretary, and also former chairman and the founder of one of the party groups in Valencia. So I am definitely well decorated in the political sphere. I would like to thank Ms. Khadija Amin and also my good friend Akina Lala for the invitation to be here to represent the needs of those persons with disabilities, and also persons, young people, and people in general in the Toco Sangre Grande constituency. You have an application form? All right. I'm also a father of 2 children, Sydney and Keziah. Well, they are actually not children anymore. They are adults now. And I would like to thank... we have a lot of issues in Valencia. Well, Toco Sangre Grande, we have a lot of issues. And I would like to bring some of those issues to the fore, some of the issues that we have been fighting for. And when I say we, I say the Trinidad and Tobago chapter of Disabled People International, one in which the Eldamo service is non-existent. The Eldamo service is a service that came about in 2012. The then Minister of Social Development, the Honorable Glenn Ramadan Singh, at the time, he would have saw the need for persons with disabilities to be included in the grand scheme of things, and they would have introduced, I think at that time, 24 buses that would have been able to at least cater for the members of the community. And we look at now 2024, and the minister and also the PTSC is saying that they only have 2 buses and they have 1 driver. And we're talking about a population of over 100 and something thousand persons that they need to cater to. And that is something that we are advocating strongly for. We're calling the minister, we're calling on Mr. Ruan Sidinan to just listen to us, set up a meeting, just answer your phone, so that we can be able to get our voices across and let you know that persons with disabilities matter, and we will want to see that bus service, a new fleet of 24 buses, so that we can be able to cater for the members of our community. All right? Lack of opportunities for our young people. How many of us would have come up Ojo Road how many years ago? And we have a nice multi-purpose complex right here on Ojo Road, just sitting there. And that particular facility would have been able to, one, engage young people in more meaningful, that football, basketball, volleyball, all different types of disciplines that persons would have been able to be engaged in within that community. And right now, how much years later? 2010 or somewhere thereabouts, we are still waiting for the opening of that particular facility. Another opening, Valencia in La Plata. As I think the gentleman mentioned just now, we have a brand new state-of-the-art early childhood center that has not been commissioned. And we are talking about an area that has the most vulnerable people. Because they say that actually when you reach Arima, that's it, the country has cut off. Because the people in Toco Sangre Grande have been neglected. Do you all feel neglected sometimes? Yes. Right. So what we're asking for the members, we're asking for proper representation. We're asking for somebody who can raise their voice in Parliament. We're asking for the general election not to be hoodwinked, or not let just these politicians come and just give you whoever they want to represent your needs. Your needs need to be represented. Your voices need to be heard in Parliament. Your voices, we need to have someone who is a minister in government, and not someone will look at as someone who doesn't fit the bill and cannot represent the needs, probably even on a ministerial level. So we want to ensure that we have someone who is there who can represent the needs of the young people in Toco Sangre Grande. And when I say Toco Sangre Grande, I'm spanning all the way from Valencia to Matlat, all the areas that right now we're seeing an increase in criminal activity. Just yesterday, someone was gunned down. 3 men run into a house in Valencia, broke down the door, and shot a guy to death. And that's someone who I know personally in my community. So if we're seeing our community being invaded by crime and criminality because of lack of opportunities and lack of service to the people, lack of representation, we are saying now is the time that we need to make sure that the politicians on the red side, the politicians on the yellow side, that we need to find the right person to represent the needs of the people of Toco, Sangre Grande. Because watch me, I am fed up, you know. I am fed up totally. All of you are fed up? Now all you ain't fed up. All you can never be fed up. All you can never be fed up, and all you're so quiet about the crime situation and all these other things that are plaguing our community. All right, we're talking about the lack of housing, accessibility, just like that's now they have to be hoisted up a steps of a building that's supposed to have an elevator. 4 guys had to lift me up the steps, and these are some of the things that we have been lobbying for many of years. This is not something that just happened, and we're asking all the relevant authorities, those persons that are in charge of the civic center, make some type of representation for persons who are elderly and also persons who are persons with disabilities, so that we can be able to have true representation as it relates to accessibility throughout. I would have just engaged the chairman, Kenman Phillip, and I get the name right. He's my good friend as well, because you know he and I always in the political huskings for a very, very number of years. And I know that he's setting up a meeting with his council members where we can be able to address accessibility issues throughout Toco Sangre Grande, and also to ensure that persons with disabilities can be able to move throughout the length and breadth of the constituency, and not just the constituency, Trinidad and Tobago, because we are people too, right? With needs, with wants, with aspirations, with ambitions, to become politicians, to become whatever we want to be. Because nothing is wrong with persons with disabilities, you know. We can contribute actively to the overall development of Trinidad and Tobago. And it's been seen, we had a prime minister who was deaf, he had a disability. The father of the nation had a disability. We had persons going up for screening for councillor. I myself went up for screening for councillor and was rejected in 2016. But as we're dealing with politics here, we're dealing with the issues of the people. You see the bread and butter issues? You see the day-to-day issues that people face? You see the bread and butter. People aren't asking for much, you know, bro. People just asking so that they can be able to put food on their tables. Mothers right now asking so that they can be able to send their children back out to school. They want to get the little bags, they want to get the little stationaries to make sure they can buy the books, and they can have some food to supply when they have to go back out to their children. So when you're talking about persons, the food card cutting in 2021, and persons with disabilities cannot access a food card. They can't access a food card, you know. Because what they're saying is that the $2,000 that they're getting every month supposed to be sufficient for you to survive. How many of us could survive on $66 a day? Yeah, that's the man. $66 a day they give persons with disabilities to survive on. I know a lady with a disability, her rent is $2,500. Do the maths. How does she survive for the rest of the year, for the rest of the month? And these are the things that are plaguing our community, persons with disabilities. And all I am saying here this evening as I conclude, because the timer now tells me I have like about 30 more seconds, I'm going to wrap up quickly, because I had a whole list of things, and I think I will just have to probably table it and send it as recommendations moving forward. Excuse me? A private video the guy is saying on that side. So I'm telling you, youths, do not be fooled. Do not be fooled. All right? Time and time again, but we are demanding true representation and not a promise of a better tomorrow. We cannot. All right? And changing our lives to the most vulnerable amongst us. That's the single mothers. That's the mother who have 5 children, father not around. That's the woman that crying out, probably suicidal, probably depressed. Because we face that every single day. Our community provides hampers, 100 hampers to persons with disabilities. In Trinidad and also Tobago, right now we're doing a back-to-school drive, where we're trying to get about 200 back-to-school supplies, book bags, everything. And I'm seeing some of my big $1 million friends in here, and I'm pleading to them here this evening, so that we can be able to get some little bags, even if it's 10 bags, outfitted with back-to-school supplies for members of our community. All right? And it is said that the meaning of insanity is continuing to do the same thing over and over and over, and expecting a different results. Are you all going to continue doing the same thing over and over and over again? That's the definition of insanity. Are you all mad people in here? That's why you're here. All right. So let us not be victims and take an active, well thought out, meaningful plan so that we can make changes to our constituency and region for a better tomorrow. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kerwin Thomas, President of the Trinidad and Tobago chapter of Disabled Peoples International. I thank you.
Yeah, I feel so. Yeah, things. Thanks. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, esteemed members of the head table, the committee, fellow stakeholders. Happy birthday, Mr. Chairman. May God bless you. My name is Dave Prasad, and thank you for the opportunity you have given me to address you. While this discussion is based on the national budget, it must be taken in the context of our region's undeveloped state and the reasons behind this reality. Let me give you an example so we could understand why we live in this particular state. There are 14 corporations with approximately 100,000 people under each corporation. So the THA has approximately 100,000 people there too. The THA gets $3 billion per year, whereas Sangre Grande Regional Corporation gets about what, 100 million? 75 million, which means 3 times the landmass, similar size population, same size or time frame. But Tobago per person does get $30-something more per person. How is that fair for the children in this area? That could never be equitable. The budget must address this. Next, moving on, I must bring up 3 major points that trickle down to us, that impact on us. You all saw that $2-point-something billion that went missing the other day? What that could I do for us? Think about your children. What that could I do for them? Yeah. Let me explain what it is we could do to overcome this now. We're looking at accountability of public funds. Thomas Jefferson once said this: the whole art of governance consists in the art of being honest. It has come to our attention that the Auditor General's report for the financial year 2022-2023 reveals that $2.3 billion TT dollars in public funds have gone missing. But they're unaccounted for. They're not missing. That's can't account for it. Somehow, your money gone, right? Furthermore, financial reports seem to suggest that $2 billion USD disappears every day from our budget. 20% of your budget goes missing and there's no account for it. We getting this? All right. To address this, we must have the financial regulations and the Exchequer and Audit Act of Trinidad and Tobago, which mandates stringent financial management and reporting of public funds. Our recommendations include implementing stricter auditing procedures, enhancing transparency in public reporting is crucial. By conducting regular public audits and involving independent bodies for oversight, we could build public trust. Leveraging technology, using real-time monitoring tools to see where our money going. You know there's technology now when you pay your taxes, when you go and pay whatever it is, when you pay a road tax by the gas station, you could see what pothole it fixed. But these things were not implemented here, but it exists. Right? Now, beyond that, we have to start adopting better practices. Following New Zealand, for instance, they adopted, this is an example where they are under the Commonwealth, following our laws and able to implement mechanisms that hold their leaders accountable. Right. Now, let us look at the crime situation. You know that our murder rate is worse than most conflict zones on earth? per person. More killing occurs here than in Ukraine per person. You're aware of that? Right? They're using hypersonic weapons to kill there, and we have a faster killing rate here. Right? Yet, nobody facing the reality or budgeting for it. We have youths outside there who have nothing to look for other than nothing to look for from the state other than a current crime. Right? Nothing has been implemented. So let's look into this. Let's look at mechanisms we could put into place. For instance, at a personal level, I have experienced where justice cannot be delivered because the judiciary and the DPP is underfunded. We're waiting for justice and we cannot get justice. I can't go into the details, but you all should look at this. If the average man facing this outside there, nobody going to get justice. Right? Enhancing the police services. You saw a policeman get shot in his chest through the bulletproof vest. Who budget for that? Where the allocation for these people equipment is, where it went. It went in the $2.3 billion that are unaccounted for. People dying. Right? Now we have to start to look and consider foreign assistance. The problem overwhelms us right now. We don't have the skills and we don't have the resources to manage what's taking place. We need foreign help. We need to be able to even pay for this. We have to budget for it. Now we could learn from international models. Look at El Salvador. They got rid of the gang problem like that. We facing the scenario. I was walking on the Forster Road where a lot of us from here, and I had to run from bullets after watching my friend get shot in front of me less than a month ago. How is that so? What we living in? Right? I almost finished here, forgive me, but this is something that needs to be brought up. Equitable access to foreign exchange. You all know what took place in the last 4 years? The existing middle class of Trinidad and Tobago got wiped off. And have you all noticed that foreign-owned businesses somehow operating here and nobody could get US? Why you think you can't get US? Foreign businesses here like a sponge absorbing what is good and going with it and leaving the rubbish first. That's why nobody wants our $30. It have nothing to wait against. There's no... God. All right? So, what we have to do is start to prioritize our local businesses, right? Develop policies to maintain a level playing field for our local businesses. And you know what? When you go in the bank to set up an account and you have to go through all kind of rigmarole to set up an account, how come foreign businesses could come here and leave with our foreign exchange and nobody accounting for it? Show me an audit. Show me one audit that any government take, that this government take to say, hey, look at these businesses moving with this percentage of our foreign currency. We don't have nothing like that, no controls, right? So I'll end off. As Edmund Burke wisely once said, the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. The challenges before us are substantial, but if we don't fix it, we're going to leave it for the children to fix. It is our duty to act decisively and with conviction right now. By addressing these issues with diligence and foresight, we can create a more accountable, safe, and equitable society. Let us not be the generation that allow the foundations of our society to crumble under the weight of inaction. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Prasad. I do want to take note of what Mr. Thomas had said and also remind you all that everything that he would have had experienced previously was because of the UNC government. Transport was under a UNC minister with the buses, and everything deteriorated under PNM governance. And also to Mr. Prasad, he talked about the sonic technologies and killing people abroad. But here we have a leader who uses bad mind and selfishness to kill our people locally. I now call on Ms. Spola to the podium.
A pleasant good night to my UNC family. I find you all are very quiet. And it's no time for us to be quiet. My name is Susan Holder. I'm an alderman in the region of Toco, Sangre Grande. And it would be remiss of me to sit here after hearing the contribution of my people in the region and not say something. There are lots of burning issues that we are dealing with daily. The PNM government has failed us. They fail us and fail us miserably. The PNM government is boasting. I am speaking region today. I live in Toco, Sangre Grande, and I am speaking about issues in Toco, Sangre Grande. They are boasting that they built hospital for us. They built hospital, and our loved ones are still sitting there 2 and 3 days before they could get a bed to lie on. Am I lying? Our children, those who are living in the Toco Matlot area, these children are deprived of an education. 50% of them are deprived of an education. Most of them are involved in sports. They are deprived of attending the sports that they love, simply because of no employment in this region. We have no industry in this region. Cocoa and coffee was once a thing of the past. Today we don't even have a cocoa and coffee board. And the reason why we don't have a cocoa and coffee board is because these people in Toco, Tamana, and Manzanilla area are totally fed up of total load on their back. Agriculture Development Bank lend loans to some of these people, and they cannot afford to pay it back because the agriculture access road to go to where their produces, they cannot reach there with the vehicle. Bad road, poor road condition. This government is not doing nothing for the people in this region. In colonial days, we had a post office. Today, we are lining up in a furniture store to go and access our mails. This is very hard for the pensioners. Sometimes they line up and they bounce the people furniture and they stroops in and they're getting vexed and they're upset with them. Who to be blamed for this? The PNM government. Only how long we will sit down and accept this? How long we are people forgotten by the People's National Movement? They consider us as fools in this region. And we have to prove to the PNM we are not fools. We deserve better. Another thing, PTSC. The people from Matlot area coming out to Sangre Grande on a daily basis. PTSC no longer go to Matlot. And these people have to pay $50 and $60 to commute to come to Sangre Grande. One we are speaking about. And we still sit down and talk PNM. In colonial days, we had bus 3 and 4 times going to Matlot. Why we living in 2024 and still living under these conditions? Some of you sitting here, I recognize corporation workers sitting in here. You all are living in 2024 on 2013 salary. Are you all accepting this? No. Come on. Light bill raise, water rate, bill raise. And if it ain't raise, it soon come in. When you go to the groceries, what you was paying $10 this week for, next week you're paying 15. You all agree to that? You all agree to that? All you, come on, let's do better. And the only way we can do better is under a government led by the United National Congress. and our great leader, Ms. Kamala Prasad Bisesa. UNC people, I'm asking you all to wake up. It's time to stop sleeping and get serious and go out and preach the gospel of the United National Congress.
You know, as the chairperson for tonight's proceeding, it's a difficult task because we planned that 3 minutes per person, but there's so much issues to be addressed, so much concerns to be highlighted, and I see the need for more meetings like this moving forward as we get ourselves prepared for the elections ahead. So people, you know, let us be reminded, in this region, we once had a mini shuttle service from Grande to Matlot. They used to call them the curry bus, right? Bad mind thing now, curry bus. But it was effective, and people were afforded the opportunity to traverse between 2 points, between Matlot and Sangre Grande. And it was on the hour, and that has been since removed. That has been removed. Before I go any further, I also want to raise this issue with you all here today. We are privileged to be here, but not privileged to be under these conditions. But I also want to draw your attention to something that we have been talking about in council, and that is the pool next door. Right next door, there is a swimming pool that has been out of commission since 2014. Since 2014. And up to this day, we have been raising these issues and concerns because our counterparts in council would defend, and it's always next month, and we're working on it. But right now, we're in a situation where dengue is killing people. And I see that pool as a breeding ground for dengue. It seems to me as though they are purposely trying to kill us out in Sangre Grande. It seems that way. And if it's not a mosquito pond, it's a crapo pond. So people, let us take note of all the challenges that we are facing. Let us take note of the hardship and let us act. Come 2025, we are all going to act. And we're going to do what is necessary to get rid of this lying, corrupt, thieving PNM government. And so, as we move in continuation of tonight's proceeding, as we're about to wrap up things tonight, I want to call on our MP, Ms. Khadija Amin, MP for St. Augustine, and also Northeast Regional Coordinator, who's going to say a few words to you all tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson, Councillor Darrell Mohan, members of the head table, and I particularly want to acknowledge our two guest speakers tonight, Ms. Kernaham and Stephen Matheson, because they agreed to come here and share in our political leaders' vision that in a budget consultation, the people must have a say. And the UNC's entire pre-budget consultation is a concept of our political leader, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, to allow citizens of every constituency to make a contribution that will be a part of the opposition's brief as we respond to the budget in Parliament on your behalf. And this is an avenue that has allowed people all over the country to have a say directly in Parliament. And for that, that is leadership. That is people-centered leadership. In this region of Sangre Grande, the CSO data tells us that this is one of the regions with the lowest income per capita. In other words, it is one of the poorest regions in the entire country. And yet, we see so many resources unexplored. You have pristine forests. You have the coast where fishing and other resources are there. You have agriculture. You have a food basket here in Sangre Grande. You have minerals in terms of gravel and sand and so on, the whole entire quarrying industry here in Sangre Grande region. What you do not have is the representation, the right representation in your current member of parliament, and you must compare that to what we had before when the UNC was in government and Kamla Prasad Bisesa was prime minister. Because it was under UNC government that this region, the entire region, from Matlot come right down, you saw development. You saw the Valencia roundabout. You saw so many opportunities for local economic development. You saw a bypass, that Valencia bypass that brought more traffic, and more traffic and better roads mean better economic opportunities. Because who come in to visit your community or your local tourist sites when the roads are bad? Who is coming to spend their money to buy a little snow cone, a little homemade ice cream, some pone while they're going up to the beach if your roads are bad? Less and less people coming because of poor road conditions mean that you as a community are at a disadvantage. And our children here in this region face the brunt of it. So tonight, I commend every person who came to the floor, who came to the mic from the floor, and who participated in making this an excellent budget consultation. But I also want to ask you tonight to go further. Every one of you who had a lament, every one of you who had a complaint, many of you had recommendations. I want to tell you, we cannot stop tonight. Elections have consequences. When people stand up, we make a difference. One voice alone will not fix this country. One voice alone will not change the government. And I tell people, this is not an election to tell me whether you like UNC or PNM, you know. This is an election to tell me if you like what your children facing in schools. If you like the violence that they are going into with school fights and bullies. If you like the fact that your children have no laptops, or if you want them to get laptops with Kamla Prasad Bisesa as a prime minister. That is what we have to talk about. So I say tonight, particularly for those who are not necessarily UNC, I want to tell you, this election, you have to vote for your children. You have to vote for yourself. You have to vote for when you go in the hospital, you could get medication. And you would not be put on a list. You know, they always have a list, right? You have a waiting list to get tests. You have a waiting list for surgeries. You always have a list in the hospital. They put you on a list. We have to vote. This time, you vote for yourself to get better roads. You vote for yourself to get medication when you go in the hospital. You vote for yourself so that your children will get laptops. You vote for yourself so that you can be safe and walk down the road without bandits holding you up. You vote for yourself and your a better quality of life. And the only way to do that is to return Kamla Prasad Bisesa as Prime Minister. Talk done. Not so? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, MP Khadija Amin. So people, ask yourself the question, are you satisfied? So you all know what you have to do about it. Vote them out. So as we are about to wrap up tonight's proceeding, I now call on Vice Chairman of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation and also Councillor for Sangre Grande Northwest, Mr. Nasser Hussain, to bring the vote of thanks.
Good evening again, everyone. Before I get into the vote of thanks, I have to say, are you all going to tolerate this inefficient, corrupt government any longer? Thank you. Now, they come in with a sweetheart budget, and don't be fooled. For 1 year, sweetheart budget, and the next 10 years, pressure. All right, so let me go to my duties here tonight. Pressure like that. Okay, so I'd like to thank, pardon me? 3 minutes? All right, so hear this now. I've been given a little 3 minutes, right? But I know I can finish in 1 minute. So listen, people, I have to say, I hope those people in Hornets Drive, Babande, Palm Drive, Farm Road, Upper Babande, now we know that you all have lines laid, but no water, no pani awila, no water. Are we gonna stop? I'm sure most of you have that problem out there. Are you all still gonna vote back PNM next year come or as soon? And watch out, it may be very soon, immediately after that budget. All right, so tonight I want to thank the Honorable Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bissessa in her absence, and for giving us this initiative for the people, you, the voices out there, to express your feelings and your trials and tribulations. All right? I would like to thank members of the head table, the MC, Darrell Mohan, Councillor Darrell Mohan, the chairman of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation, the two presenters, Ms. Kinahan and Mr. Matheson. I also would like to thank the General Secretary of the UNC, Mr. Peter Kanai, MP Khadija Amin, Mr. Kevin, I always pronounce his name wrongly, Kivan, right? The man on the video system, and also Mr. Patrick, the man on the sound system. I would like to thank councillors, aldermen, and so on, not forgetting the PRO of the UNC, Dr. Kirk Megu. And most of all, I would like to thank each and every one of you all for turning out here tonight, and we must continue the struggle. We thank you very much. God bless you all as you return home very safely. I think we have some refreshments coming up.
Everybody now, let's go. Come on, come on. Hey. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Whoa, oh, whoa, oh, yeah, yeah. It's time to make a difference. It's time to turn that page. We got to do the right things if we want brighter days.